Well, hello and welcome to this very special episode of On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. I'm your host, Chris Green, Director of Network Expansion for Avoya Travel. And as you can see, with a very special guest beside me, as we come to you from the Avoya Travel Innovation Center, that today is going to be a bit different than our regular show, because today at On Deck with Avoya, we hit what we consider to be a milestone. We're celebrating our 100th episode. And for such a special occasion, we wanted an equally special guest. So today we're going to skip our normal eye on the industry feature and some normal pleasantries we do up front and jump right into the heart of it, our favorite portion of our weekly show, our Q&A segment. You know, in the last 100 episodes, we've covered a lot of ground. We've introduced you to some of the amazing and talented people that I proudly call coworkers here at Avoya Travel. We've introduced you to some amazing members of our elite Avoya network. We've even had the chance to interview some of the top talent from various vendors and cruise lines and associations in our great industry. But today, it's so special because our featured guest right here next to me is Jeff Anderson, co-CEO of Avoya Travel. And Jeff, thank you so much for your time. And we're thrilled to have you as our featured guest for episode number 100.
This is pretty wild. Thank you, Chris. Excited to be here.
Jeff, before we get into the heart of our interview, from your perspective, tell us a little bit about your personal history in the travel industry and just kind of what led us to this moment right now with you as the co-CEO.
Yeah, so I'm pretty lucky to be I guess I'd call myself a travel brat. Grew up in the industry. My grandparents got started in the industry in 1964 in Hawaii. And from a very young age, we were highly incented to support the family business. We got a penny a piece for stamping brochures, right, at the brick and mortar that we used to have in the local mall. We got a penny a piece for every brochure that we would stamp, and we'd run around the corner after we did like 200 brochures and then buy a comic book. And so that was like the highlight, right? You got to go to work really hard and earn big rewards because comic books were at play.
So now I have to ask the follow-up. Did you save the comic books? Because that would have been a really great return on investment.
Okay, so yes, the comic books are still secure somewhere. They're in an attic somewhere.
Okay,
yes.
For future generations to find
exactly.
and show up at Antiques Roadshow or something.
That's right, exactly.
Jeff, as the co-CEO of Avoya Travel, can you share with us a little bit today about what a normal day for you looks like and some of the things that you're personally involved with?
Okay, so normal day. Okay, so I'm a pretty hands-on leader. I finally figured out, people always ask me in interviews, like, what's your leadership style? I'm like, I don't know. But I think I finally kind of figured it out. And it's a very collaborative style, which is super awesome and challenging at times because I love everything that's going on in the business. So a typical day for me looks like a variety of different departments that I'll connect with, try to understand what's going on, look at some reports, talk about some strategy and new initiatives that we have going on. So lots of meetings talking about what we're building next. And that's, to me, like the funnest part of this whole thing. Over the last 20 years since I've been in the business full time, it's been about like, what can we build that's going to be new and different and exciting for travelers, for our independent agencies, for our suppliers. So every day is a bit different, but it's always this construct of like, what are we going to get to build today?
I think one of the things that you bring to the table that you do a great job with, and I've heard this not only from my own personal thoughts, but some of my coworkers, some of the vendors, is you're a great listener. You really, when you're involved in a conversation, you're engaged in that conversation. I think it really shows.
I'm sorry, what did you say? Yeah, I think I try to be as balanced as possible. I have lots of ideas, but most of them are bad ideas. And so being able to sit down and listen and refine ideas with each other, that spirit of collaboration is alive and well here.
We've been through some really crazy challenges the last few years, but that's in the rearview mirror because right now, what an amazing time in leisure travel. Jeff, give me your thoughts, say, on the second half of 2022, kind of where we're at, the early part of 23, and maybe projecting out the rest of this year.
Yeah, so back half of 22 really ended in a very exciting fashion. Cruising was pretty much liberated from all the COVID restrictions that were in place for the prior couple of years. And so we got to a point where operations felt normal. The vacation experience that travelers were all hoping for over the last 2.5 years. Those had come back to life again. And what we saw was, despite some of these big challenges, global challenges that are out there, fuel prices are out of control. We've got a war in Ukraine, inflation spiraling out of control. So lots of like very complicated things that normally would have slowed the business down. Gosh, because people hadn't traveled for so long, it just kept going. So back half of 22 was amazing. We knew that wave season, which starts like the day after Christmas for us, we knew it was going to be a pretty good year. We felt like it was going to be a bit special. And so we were pretty excited about it. But I got to tell you, sitting here now, 65, 70 days into the new year, we're like blown away at how good things have been. And I will tell you, it's actually, it's one of those like good problems that we're having right now, because demand has been so much hotter than we expected that we're struggling to keep up. And when that happens, my brother Michael always says, constraint drives innovation. And we're feeling constrained on our ability to keep up with this record pace of business that we're having right now. And so again, going back to building, like we're building all these cool new things to be able to handle additional demand from consumers. So it's a fun spot to be in.
And one of those things we're doing, of course, is outreach to you, because we want you to be inspired, and to the point where you reach out to the avoyanetwork.com website, get the process started, get connected with an affiliation specialist, and find out about the amazing innovations and all the reasons that Avoya Travel percolates as #1 host agency year after year. Jeff, in your opinion, what's fueling these record sales, not only for our network, but some of the top vendors in leisure travel? And as a follow-up, and maybe just as important, how long do you think this surge is going to last?
Yeah. So clearly the inability to travel freely for the last 3 years has been the primary driver of why people are ready to go on vacation. They're tired of being home. Home might be very nice, but they're ready to get out and explore the world. And I think that the world has changed over the course of the last 3 years. Tourism is such a fundamental part of our world, not just of like the global economy, but like of humanity. And I think that people are longing for that after not having it for too long. And so people have just changed. The other thing that occurred during the pandemic is that experiences, which were already like trending well from a desirability perspective for multiple generations, experiences keep getting higher and higher on the list. Like things are good, but they're not as awesome as experiences. So I think people have accumulated enough things and stuff, and now they're ready to go explore the world with friends and family, and get to know new cultures and new cuisines and hear new music and see historical sites. So we're just chill on the beach. So there's just a lot of good things going on. And in terms of how long it'll last, typically we say like tax time is coming, April 15th, like worst day of the year for most people. And so we usually see a slowdown literally up until April 15th. It slows down April 14th. That only usually lasts for a few weeks though. By the time that May rolls around, the people who didn't book a summer vacation are thinking to themselves, oh shoot, I don't have anything going on this summer. And nobody wants to miss summer vacation.
That's true.
And so we start to see another surge that happens all throughout the month of May. And as we know in the industry, it's a little late to get the best inventory, to get the best pricing, but there is that pickup in demand that always happens in May.
I mean, not only are they booking for this year though, right? I mean, some of the vendors are releasing space so far into the future that you got to make decisions about summer vacation 2024 and 2025
Totally.
now if you want that best space.
Totally. If you want the best space, you're at least 12 months ahead. At least.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Jeff, you've been involved in the travel industry, as we talked about, your whole life, and I assume you have a pretty good handle on what makes a great travel advisor and some of the traits that great travel advisors have. What are some of those traits, and would you mind sharing that with us today?
Yeah, so it can be a variety of things, and it's kind of cool to like look at this over the course of time to see how expansive the skill sets can be from one agent to another, and yet both are very successful.
Right.
There's a couple of hallmark things though that everyone would say, okay, that's a necessity for being really successful. Number one is probably reliability. Are you going to answer the phone? Are you going to respond to emails? Are you going to actually seek out the best options for your clients? Have you gone the extra mile? Does the traveler feel like you've done more than they could have figured out on their own? If we're just here to be order takers or just try to get away with like a minimal amount, those advisors really, they're not going to be thrilled with their results. They probably won't stick around for a super long time because nobody wants that, right? Nobody wants to go down to the car dealership and know more about the vehicle than the salesperson.
True.
And in the internet world, right, with travel, there's like so many things to learn. So number one is reliability. Is this person dependably taking care of me? Number two is product knowledge. You can't know everything, particularly if you're working with a traveler for the first time. So if you're working with a traveler for the first time, you better specialize because they will out-knowledge you and out-learn you very, very quickly because they've probably done research of their own to figure out what destination they want to go to, or maybe what travel type, whether they want to go via resort or cruise or a variety of different categories to actually experience these destinations. So specialization's really critical as well. The third piece is just kind of that genuine knack of understanding people. You don't have to have some like killer instinct on how to get credit cards. There are a variety of different ways to persuade people into working with you. And so I think it's people who kind of have that natural tact of, I'm a people person. Like, I enjoy pleasing others. There is in my essence like a good chunk of hospitality, right? We're in the hospitality industry.
Right.
And so those are some of the key ones that, there are little pieces that are super helpful. Like if you have really good technology and you know how to use the technology, that's going to make your life infinitely more efficient. And as we talk about, where this world is going with technology, it should be like, it's like the hammer and the pliers of 150 years ago, like totally essential tools. You couldn't get anything done. They're still very essential if you're trying to do some skills today, not if they're in my hands.
Right. Mine either.
But if you're pretty handy with a computer and with a phone and understanding software, CRM, booking engines, et cetera, it's going to make your agency significantly more productive.
Makes perfect sense to me. Jeff Anderson, co-CEO of Avoya Travel, is our featured Avoya Insider guest today for our 100th episode of On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. Jeff, you share the CEO title with your brother, Michael Anderson, also co-CEO of Avoya Travel. What's it like working so closely with your brother, and what hurdles does that present? And on the flip side of that, because you know each other so well, or I assume you do, does that make it easier sometimes in that collaboration?
Yeah, so Michael's a stud. Like he's awesome. And the blend of his skill set and my skill set just happened to work out pretty compatibly. And we always shared a room growing up, which was pretty neat. We always got along well. He has a more technical bend. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm pretty nerdy, and I'm proud of that. But he's got like engineering brain, and I don't have that. I've got more design brain. And so it's super cool working with him. Can there be challenges at times? To be honest with you, I think the biggest challenge is not working when we're around each other. We love this. We're passionate about it. We try not to turn family birthdays and holidays. We try not to turn those into business discussions, but maybe we whisper a few things to each other that were on our mind from the morning earlier. And it's just a super cool opportunity to work with somebody that you trust, like implicitly, and never need to kind of question their motives because you've worked with them for now like 40 years. Yes, from infancy. And that's a long time to get to know somebody. So you don't have to be family in order to experience that. We've experienced that type of trust with lots of people, but that history really allows for you to put away a lot of the voices that might be in your head of like, really, do they have my best interest in mind as well as theirs? And so it's just an epic opportunity to align with somebody like a Michael. The fact that he's my brother is even cooler, but there's a lot of people around here that we couldn't progress without deep trust and dividing and conquering.
Staying on the family theme, when you think about your family name, the Anderson family name in the travel industry and how it extends back over 50 years, how does that make you personally feel, Jeff?
It's both like a proud moment and a humbling moment to think about how long the family's had legacy in the industry. I think we've always tried to do the right thing, not for ourselves, but for our people, and that's worked out really well for ourselves. And there's a legacy that we think about all the time. Mike and I have also worked with other siblings and cousins in the business as well. And it's a privilege to be able to do something like that. And being a third generation travel agent, as I still like describe myself, I think being a travel agent or travel advisor is a stunning career choice. Where else do you get to do this?
Right.
And I will tell you, I envy on many days the life of our independent agencies.
Yeah, me too.
We all do. Like,
right, yeah, social media, they make you just mad sometimes.
all exactly right. The lifestyle that they get to live is really remarkable. And every employee that comes in that I interview, and I interview a lot of people, I like to remind them, like, this is a lifestyle industry. When you come and work with Avoya, certainly if you're an independent agency or if you're an employee as well, these are decisions that you're making, not just about how much you're going to fill up your bank account, but it's going to be what are those experiences that you're going to share personally and with friends and family in ways that you'd never be able to do in most jobs. So yeah, the legacy is something that we're really proud of. There's a lot of pressure though. Like what our grandparents built, what my father and uncle built, and now what we're building, there's a lot of pressure. There's no slacking around here.
Yeah.
We got to prove ourselves still.
Absolutely. What about looking forward? What are some of the things that keep you inspired on the future of both Avoya Travel and this industry at large?
So again, the industry as a whole, I think the amount of creativity just that continues to pour into the industry is really remarkable. And you bundle that with this necessity for humans to get to know each other even better. I've traveled to places that when I first arrived, I was a bit apprehensive about, is this safe? Am I going to like it? What's it going to taste like? And within a very short period of time, I think maybe this helps a little bit that I grew up this way, but in a very short period of time, the love and respect and energy just transfers so simply between human beings if we would just give each other a chance. And I think that's why I love tourism as a whole. I think we've got some really cool stuff going on. We're looking at new creative ways. We basically break down our business plan into a few different like strategic pillars. One of them is like, what are we building for our independent agencies? And that doesn't just mean technology, which of course it does, but it means what new experiences, how we're going to simplify everything for them. Where are we going to find new travelers? So we've got independent agencies, we've got travelers. What are the new products that we might offer them? How are we going to go find more of them? We've got a pretty unique model from that perspective. And the third pillar is on the vendor side, the suppliers. What can we as Avoya bring to the table that is a unique offering for them? They're all trying to fill their products, right? And that's really what we're for on the side of the the travel economy on the distribution channel. So it's really kind of taking those three things and figuring out how can we make each one of these things better. So, we've got our 2023, here's the strategic initiatives list. That list is like constantly challenged by, well, can we add one more?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what about this one? Can we put this one on the list? And I can't help but get carried away with that sometimes too. And it does happen from time to time where we're like, oh no, this one looks even cooler than we were thinking before. And so that ongoing strategic initiatives and pouring into those three parties. And then of course, you don't get very far without having a great team of employees. And we'll only ever be as good as our people. That's true at every organization. Doesn't matter how great the product is. You've got to have people powering it. And the better that those people are, the more successful that will be, and we'll do it quicker than others. So that's a high level preview of kind of what's happening here.
Jeff, let's take a little detour for a second and talk about you, Jeff Anderson, the person. When you get a chance, and I'm sure it's hard, but when you get a chance to step away from your role as co-CEO, what are some of the things you like to do for fun, just as a person?
So it's hard to step away from this because it's really fun. I'm a family guy. My wife and my boys, who are 18 and 16, like they're everything to me. So I'm pretty good with whatever they want to do. And of course, the boys usually come up with the most ideas.
Sure.
My wife and I jokingly invite ourselves to almost every function that our kids say, like, oh, I'm going to go see this movie with my friends. And we're like, oh yeah, and your friends wanted us to come too, right? So anyway, we're going through this like really unique time of life where our oldest son is now away at college at Baylor. Our youngest son is 16, so he's driving, and kind of like it's wild. But I'm a family guy. At the end of the day, if I'm hanging with one of those three, life is good.
Anything on the personal travel front that's either coming up or you just experienced that you'd be excited to share with us?
Yeah. I like perpetually want to go everywhere. And I think what's hard about this industry for me, and I actually have to kind of like detach myself. Every sales presentation I've ever heard from a supplier, I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah,
pick me.
Like that's the next one. Or if it's not the next one, it'll be the one after that. So actually what we've tried to do in our family is be a little bit balanced, because we do get to take these like extremely incredible, almost like once in a lifetime journeys. But the next trip that I have coming up is going to be in May, actually going down to Uganda. This isn't what we sell, but we've been involved with a school down there for the last few years and really passionate about that project. And they've got 1,500 students that would never be able to afford an education otherwise. And so we get to go down there, support the school. They got a medical clinic on site. It's nowhere that I would ever sell a traveler to, because there's no hot water. Electricity is spotty. But at the end of the day, it's been important for us to demonstrate to our kids, like, this is an amazing world. We're super privileged to be Americans, and there's a lot of people out there that can use our love and our help. So that's the next big trip coming up in May.
I have to say, on a personal note, having been involved with Avoya Travel, both as a business owner and now as an employee for coming up on a decade, that I think the secret sauce of Avoya Travel is that heart and soul that you just described. And even though it might not be a destination that you would send a traveler, it permeates through everything, trickles down from top down. So personally, I just say congratulations to you and your whole family on having infused that into our business model, because I think it really makes us special and unique.
Yeah, thank you. Now, I will say, we may stop by Dubai on the way down there.
Sure.
Oh my gosh. If you haven't been to Dubai yet, it is remarkable. Like it's mind blowing. So we're thinking about adding that into the trip as well. Just because if we're already on that side of the world, it made sense to potentially add that on there. So maybe I'll mix a little bit of pleasure in there as well. And no, we're super fortunate to be in the industry that we're in.
After you've had the chance to take so many special trips, What is it about travel that you still find so special?
I think no matter where you go, there's there's a group of people, like, again, thinking tourism and hospitality. There's there are people out there that want these connections, um, whether it is for their own edification and gratification, or if it's because of the practicality of just trying to feed their family. Uh, I love that we're able to continue to support like so many different mechanisms, and I think that if people traveled more, especially like outside of their normal area, we'd all realize that we're a whole lot more like each other than different from each other. And we can celebrate those differences that do exist, but let's learn from them and learn that it's just a slightly different flavor than what we're used to.
Jeff, we've got a few left here on our special 100th episode of On Deck with Avoya. And instead of a question, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to share whatever thoughts you might have that might impact a potential travel advisor that was thinking about the Avoya network. If you had something you might want to share with them.
So first of all, if you've like made it this far into listening to us in the first place, there's got to be something going on in your brain that's like, okay, why am I listening to this? I think the answer is because you're curious enough, and I love curious people. I think you're curious enough to say, is there something here for me? And fortunately, we've got people like Chris and on Chris's team that can help you kind of understand whether or not this is right for you. This is, again, we've talked about the industry as a whole. I love this industry. There are other industries that are really cool and certainly critically important, but something special is happening in travel, and it's not just all fun and giddy, which it is, but it is deeply purposeful. When you have the privilege of helping somebody go on their honeymoon, like that's the start of their new life. So amazing. When you get to celebrate a big birthday or a big anniversary, or sometimes it's going to be the last trip. And after working with somebody over the course of time, and this is their last trip because they've got a cancer diagnosis, or their physical ability to be mobile has changed. Like, there's so many ways to serve people. And again, that spirit of hospitality is something that we can all get hooked into. And the perks. And there's pretty good money in it, actually. And it's just this is an opportunity for all of you to decide like what your trajectory going forward is. The last piece to this is I grew up in a very entrepreneurial family. I can't do that by myself, clearly. But being an entrepreneur is a special thing, but it's not easy either. A lot of people try to put the glitz and glamour of being an entrepreneur on everything that they might be selling. It's hard work, but it's incredibly fulfilling. And I can't think of other types of jobs that have the benefits of being an independent agency, not just because you're in complete control of your schedule and you can decide how to work, when to work, where to work, but you get to do it in an industry that's got perks like no other industry has. And I think that it is such a unique opportunity to not just join this industry, but to really come alongside of somebody like an Avoya that's got this pretty well figured out and continues to move forward at a really, really rapid clip, faster than others. So again, if you're listening this far into the episode, come on, give Chris a call.
Please.
Yeah. The time has come to explore this at least a conversational level. There's no commitment. We aren't so crazy that we're gonna stalk you. But I think that if you're going this far and you still haven't engaged with us, reach out, have a conversation. We're super respectful. We've got a nearly 59-year legacy in this industry, and we're proud of the integrity that we have. But let's get a conversation going and see where it can go.
Jeff, I guess this whole interview kind of serves as a reason why it's obvious you're still optimistic about the travel industry. But let me just ask it point blank, and I do this with all my guests. Despite all the challenges in travel's past, its current, I'm sure there'll be some challenges in the future that we don't see coming down the pipe yet.
Yep.
Are you optimistic about the future of leisure travel?
Not just optimistic, I'm ecstatic. There's just been so many things that have changed the last 3 years for the world, right? Which is really unique, right? What are world-changing events that really occur? In the last 3 years, it's been clear that people are highly interested in going on vacation. They need to reconnect with nature, with each other. And so I'm like ecstatic about where this is going. The team that we have been building of employees is like really mind-blowing, and the new talent that we're bringing onto that team is really incredibly special. This network that we have, it is so far beyond our competitive set in terms of like performance. We're really proud of the team that we've built on the network side as well. So it's hard not to look at this and be like optimism to me is maybe where I naturally bend just a little bit. I'm not in like optimistic mode anymore. I'm like in ecstatic mode because I think 2023 and 4 and 5 are just setting up to be absolutely mind-blowing years. So beyond optimistic.
What a great way to wrap up. Jeff Anderson, everyone, co-CEO of Avoya Travel. Jeff, thanks so much for your time, for being part of our special 100th episode today. And we're just really appreciative and honored that you would join us.
Chris, thank you again for having me. Super stoked to be here. I got to get some West Coast surfer language in here, but this has been epic. Appreciate. I can't believe you're at 100 episodes already, and very thankful for what you are doing to help the industry as a whole. Because yeah, there's a little bit of like a Avoya flavor in every one of these, but what you guys are doing for the industry, I think, is critically important. We're all in this together. We need everybody to be successful in this space in order for us to be successful. So thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you again, Jeff. Next week, episode 101, and we're going to bring back Gina Hoyt, director of Avoya Education Platform, for an update on the launch of the travel agent education powered by Avoya platform. What a huge success out of the gate this has been. It's helping those new to the travel industry get off on the right foot in this industry, and we can't wait to have Gina back to get an update on the great progress. That's going to be next Thursday at our normal time, 11:15 a.m. Pacific, 2:15 Eastern, with our 101st episode of On Deck with Avoya. Hey, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our social media pages on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, at Avoya Travel Network. And of course, reach out and start the process of affiliation with the #1 host agency in leisure travel at avoyanetwork.com. I want to again thank my amazing guest today, Jeff Anderson, co-CEO of Avoya Travel, for giving us some of his precious time. And of course, a big thank you to you, our loyal viewers, for helping us go this far. 100 episodes. I think we easily have another 100 in us. So I'm looking forward to having you join us each and every week. And until next Thursday, take care, everyone.